Hi knitters, welcome to PJ Knits. My name's Penny and I live in Central Illinois, and I am a knitter, a blogger, and a YouTube podcaster. And this is my little piece of the knitting world, where I sit down every so often and talk to you all about my knitting and hopefully some fun things. So if you will, grab a cuppa, grab your knitting, because I have some things that I'm gonna talk about today, and it's all about me. No. Anyway, it's about knitting, it's about yarn, it's about a lot of things. So I had a totally different episode that I had planned for today, which is July 1st, Monday, the first day of a new year, of a new month. It's Monday, a new week. And if I was working, which I'm no longer doing, it would be the beginning of our fiscal year. And I would have been working my butt off last few weeks, getting money spent for people. And starting today, we would be starting a new fiscal year, and we would be cleaning up stuff and making people do the things they should have been doing all along. So I do not miss that at all. But the thing is about July 1st, not only was it always our fiscal year at work, but it also meant that it was the first of the month of July, and we were getting ready in just a couple of short weeks to go to Meg Swanson's knitting camp, which is not happening this year, and I'm so sad about that. I look forward to that. I have attended for many years, and with my friend Linda, and last year with Susan Rainey, we were partners in crime, as it would be, and so I'm totally going to miss them. But at the end of this month, we're going to have the Makers Meetup in Hoffman Estates. Debbie and I took a quick trip up there on last Thursday, which I'm going to talk about here in Knitting Adventures in a little bit, but we headed up there, stopped by Sarah's to drop some boxes off, and then did a couple of knitting adventures, and then ended up at the hotel. And it is newly remodeled, new carpeting. They've done a lot with the dining area and the outside big table where we were sitting. My one complaint about it is the big table is still there, but the chairs are more like not bar stools. Kendra, help me with this. I don't have one of these, you know. Anyway, the chairs are not very conducive to the table. They sit up a little high and don't have good backs. And the furniture in the lobby is also kind of a reminiscence of when we would go to Stitches Midwest, kind of low and sit back, you know. But it's all new. But so those are my only downsides. New carpeting. We did not check the rooms out, but we hear there have been some remodels there as well. So it's looking very good. So all to say is that we are looking forward to the Makers Meetup at the end of the month, and we are nearing really close to 80 people attending. So it is going to be so much fun. This is the same meetup. In kind of sort of, we're making a couple of changes that you'll want to, if you're coming, that we're hoping you'll have some fun with. So 3-Ply Podcast and Frivolous and Frugal were the hosts in the past few years, and so they've done all the real groundwork. And again, I've said before, thank you to those ladies for their hard work and letting Kendra and I kind of, you know, dip our toe in it. So that is coming up. The block of rooms is on hold via the link that is in the PJ Knits Ravelry Group. It is the block is on hold till July 9th, but I did talk to Cindy, who's in charge of it up there, and she said after the 9th, if people, you know, finally, you know, decide that they want to do it or their plans have changed, that they can still call and mention the meetup and still get the rates. So you can still be doing that for the Makers Meetup. And so, like I said, we are totally looking forward to that coming up. Before we get too far, the weather report. Oh my gosh. Central Illinois, and I'm talking to you golfers. You should have been golfing yesterday. You should be golfing today. It was beautiful yesterday. I spent truly most of my day out on the porch with my coffee and my knitting. It was Sunday and people were working, mowing grass and all of that. But it was a beautiful day, sunshiny day, blue skies, a slight breeze, maybe heading up into the mid 70s in the morning. It was cool and wonderful, and I just so enjoyed that time. I was back out there this morning early, so cool this morning in the 50s that I had to put I have my marled cardigan that I knit a couple of years ago, and I had it on because over my jammies while I sat and knit, and it was just a perfect day for that. And I see that I'll probably be heading back out because it's going to be mid 70s again today. And my little bunny came and kept me company on the sidewalk for a good half hour until something spooked it. So anyway, it's going to be a beautiful day again today. Tomorrow it's going to warm up just a tad, and then I'm afraid Wednesday, Thursday we're going to have some rain, and I hope that the rain shoots away for those who are doing fireworks for the 4th of July. But then back at Friday we're going to start for the weekend, I think, have some decent weather, a little bit warmer maybe, but I'm hoping that I don't have to turn my air conditioning on for a while again. So I'm so looking forward to that. So that is the weather report. And so let's get started with some knitting. Now, some will make fun of this, but I'm a planner. You all know that. I plan my projects out in my journal. I have a plan on a calendar that Kendra gave me that I kind of like, this is what you need to be focusing on. Yeah, I do divert from that plan occasionally because the pig is my porch project, but it hasn't been the last 2 days because I've been having some fun with the last summer sweater that I'm going to talk about. So I always have a plan. And so while we were up in Elgin last week, I was, after we went to Sarah's, one of the first places we went to is Wool and Company. And the course of it, what I want to say about Wool and Company is they have everything, that I'm always looking for. And I've ordered from them online a lot. They have free shipping. They have a huge store that is just magnificent. And the samples, all of that going on. And the thing about it with their samples is they're on mannequins, and they have little tags that are hanging from the sweater or the garment or, the shawl, telling exactly the things you need to know, what the pattern is, what the yarn is, where it can be found, what they knitted out of. I think they actually did maybe stitches per inch, I don't know. But the thing about that is you get so many cool ideas and maybe going a direction with yarn that you normally wouldn't think about doing. And I always, as do as others when I'm there, I took pictures of not only the tag, but also the garment, of things that I wanted to remember for future knitting projects. I went to Wool and Company with a plan, and I'm going to talk about that as well, but I went with a plan, let's just put it that way. But what happened was we were looking at the needles, and it hit me that one of the projects that I like, and I've talked about this before, that I like to keep in my car is the Musselburgh Hat. I have a little bag there, and I have one of those always on the needles. And for, construction stop knitting, for, grab and go knitting when you need something for waiting in the car, for anything. And I also use it when I go over to Iowa to visit my grandkids because it's easy to take, it's easy to knit on and around. So I have one in the car, but I started thinking about the Meetup and projects that I want. Sorry about that. I had a segue. I'm going to segue here. I'm getting new neighbors next door today, and they are closing on the house, and the son just came by in his truck, so it kind of threw me. So I'm super excited about that. I hear it's a young couple, and so that will be so much fun. I'll miss my old neighbors, but anyway, I digress, and I'm so sorry about that, but not. So that's why you need your knitting in a cup. But anyway, so needles and Musselburgh. So I have that in the car, and I thought, well, that would be a great project to take to the Makers Meetup to knit on, because I know that I'm not going to be able to do anything that has a patterning, and I want to be able to put it down in a moment's notice, right? And so, but I didn't want to have to bring my Musselburgh into the hotel or vice versa into the house or whatever, because then it wouldn't be in the car when I needed it, right? As a grab and go. So I decided that I would get some extra needles, and my Musselburgh previously has been on my size 4s interchangeables. And so when I want to use those, they're on the Musselburgh. So I decided to buy 2 sets while we were at Wool & Company of the 4-inch needles, and then also some double points to always have for the Musselburgh hat. So that was my first purchase there. And so in conjunction with the mini meetup, I decided that I'm going to cast on, I haven't done it yet, the Musselburgh hat, but I have everything I need in my bag that I got here. And I pulled a yarn from PYS, and this was a gift yarn by Biscott and C is what I hear. This was some time ago. My friend Jane gave it to me. And so I decided to just pull something out of my PYS. It is a self-striping yarn, and I wanted to try out a self-striping yarn in the Musselburgh to see how that works. Now the yardage on this one is 384 yards, and I think this could be easily done for sure. But here is the colorway that we've got, and it's self-striping, so I'm super excited to cast that on. And I will cast it on before the meetup and get it past the double point stage, so that's just knitting in the round. But that's the first project that I'm already planning on taking with me. Now my thought here with the Musselburgh hat also is this. I have knit one, and I have another one on the needles, and I'd like to knit this one, so that'll be 3. Well, the first one is going to be, I think, for me. I've set it aside. But I want to keep knitting on the Musselburgh. It's kind of like twofer, I guess, is what you could say. The first one is, it will use up souvenir skeins of finger weight yarn that I have in my stash. But the problem then becomes, what do you do with all these hats? Because I tend to wear if I wear a hat, it's when it's really, really cold, when I have to shovel snow, or when I think I might need it, going from, place to place. But I'm not really the person that wears the hats all the time. But I like to knit hats, and have them. So what I've decided is this. Couple of things. Yes, number one, I could donate it. I could donate them to a charity, which I could do that. But I'm also thinking that when I go over to some functions, that there are people, that there are kids, like at Thanksgiving or at Christmas, where there's a lot of us there, and not always just my immediate family, that I would take this stack of hats that I would have knit and just say, hey, whoever wants a hat, take one. Or if you have somebody that you know that will need a hat, take one. And then the bulk, then I will donate to charities, perhaps wherever, there are needed. So that is kind of my plan with continuing on the Musselburgh train. Now, I don't knit them on fast for sure, because I have so many other things, but I think that's like a twofer, and gets things out of my PYS and gives me a chance to try yarns. And so I'm super excited about that. That's going to be my first project that I take for the mini meetup. And so that was, you know, the first purchase that I bought there at Wool & Co. Well, also while we were there talking and thinking about stuff, I thought, what about doing also in that same realm of, I love knitting these. It uses up a lot of PYS fingering weight yarn, and then the leftovers can go into my scrap bin for possible new scrap blanket. And I have one, but I'm not crazy about the one that I knit before. And so another project that I'm going to do for the Makers Meetup is Carina Spencer's Colorshift. And I've knit, this will be my third one, and this is just a black and white. And then what I did is I just printed off the color pictures here for inspiration. So I decided this could be the same realm. I love knitting on this. I like when we're outside down on the riverfront, I like knitting on this because I can do it. I can, without, you know, and talk at the same time and watch things. And when they're on the riverfront, this is a great project for that. So, and also in the same realm, my thought is, if I knit more of these up when I go to this Thanksgiving and Christmas functions, that I could take a stack of those for the ladies to choose if they so want to. So I have that in my bag. I have wound up all of the yarns. The yarns were destination yarns. I bought these as a thought for a faded shawl from Stitches Midwest. Probably, I'm going to say 2020, maybe. No, I think it was 20 before that. I saw the shawl at our last in person that we went to, Stockinette Zombies up in Rochester. And then the following, that same August, when it was Stitches in Midwest, I bought 5 yarns that I was going to make this shawl. And I decided since then that it wasn't what I wanted to do. So this particular color shift is going to be for me, and I'm going to stack the yellow bright one that I made, first of all, in a stack to give away. But it's destination yarn. They are all beach themed, and I've just cast on, so I'm ready to go. And I will share the colorways down the road with you, but here is kind of the grouping of what we're going to do in that. I'm losing my bag and the yarn at the same time. You can't save both. But here is the 4 yarns that I'm going to do, and they're all beach theme. So, and when they're done, these will go into my habitation throw blanket. So, while I was at Wool & Co., I did not buy the extra needles that I need. I have in here my fixed 3 of the sizes that I need in fixed. And because this is going to be in one of those, again, one of those long-term projects, those projects that I'm always going to be knitting on wherever, whenever, I decided that I wanted to buy 24-inch fixed needles in the other sizes. So because Wool & Co. has free shipping, I'm going to order those. I think they were 9s and 10s, and I'm going to put them in my bag, and this is going to be my my Colorshift bag. And so it will have all the needles that I need in here, the pattern and the yarn, and so I will be good to go. So this is going to be the second project that I'm going to take for the Makers Meetup in a month, and I think that's it. I don't think I'm going to take anything else. And I know a lot of people do socks when they're at retreats and things like that, which is fine. But I find that this is the perfect project for me right now. Hats and that to use up some of that yarn that I've got. Okay. So, while we were at Wool and Company, My primary reason for going to Wool and Company was a sweater that I saw in the Summer Laine magazine, Summer 2024. I talked about this before. It's called Quince. It is by Irene Lynn. And I talked about this on the last podcast that I wanted to knit this pattern. It's going to be for fall, winter. The pattern is not just a stockinette, sweater. It's a sweater that has some fun lace in it. It has multiple things that you would change up, and is going to be one of those projects that you just don't just sit and knit in public, but it will be a fun project. It's going to push me. It's going to push my limit a little bit. I've been knitting forever, so it doesn't bother me. Maybe it's not really pushing my limit, but just taking it another direction. And so here's the sweater. I'm going to lengthen it, and so you can see that there's some lace, there's some rib, and then there's just some mohair. And my whole thought process when we went to Wool and Company that I really wanted to go there for is this particular sweater is knit out of Knitting for Olive yarn. And I wanted to see it in person. And I know if you've been watching podcasts or Instagram, Knitting for Olive yarn is hot right now. And I could tell that it was a hot yarn for Wool & Co., whereas last year it was Sandusgarn, because there was a full array of the yarn that I was looking at in the Knitting for Olive, and not as much in Sandusgarn like the Laine. And I think maybe the Laine was down a little bit with what was least on the floor. It could have been because a lot of people are knitting that. They're talking about that for summer sweaters, and I've knit a couple too as well. So that could be the reason for it. But my whole reason for going in, and the only thing that I had planned on buying at Wool & Co. when we were there, was I really wanted Knitting for Olive, and I wanted to see it in person. I wanted to see the colors, and I've been on this blue kick, and so anyway, I knew right away when I saw the colors that I was kind of thinking like a yellowy like the model has on, or a peachy, and this just caught my eye again. And this is Knitting for Olive. It's Merino, and this is in Poppy Blue, and this is Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair and Poppy Blue. And we decided this really is not a poppy color, right? Poppies are bright pink and orangey, right? But this, I bought enough for this. Now, this is not a sweater that I'm going to cast on right away. It's going to be, after I get done my summer sweaters, I'm going to do a swatch. I bought enough to do a swatch, and so this will be then. But I really wanted to knit this particular sweater and just have some fun with it. So that's what I'm doing. That was my main purchase there. There you go. And again, mine is going to be shorter, and I love those sleeves for sure. So that was my Wool & Company. And so I guess I might say this is the portion of Knitting Adventures. I really kind of jumped away from where I was originally going. But anyway, Knitting Adventures. This is our knitting adventure last Thursday. After going to, after looking at a couple of things, Wool & Company up front had in their main mannequin, they had Viimein by Isabel Kramer on one of their models, and it was in a remix light in bubblegum. It was a bubblegum, and we both said this doesn't look like bubblegum. This looked like more of a light corally. And when I went to get the remix light off the shelf, they only had 3, and the model said 4, and I always like to have an extra anyway. If I would have done a little bit of research, the one that I knit 2 years ago out of Remix Light that I bought at Elgin Knitworks and then knit and had for Knit City, Montreal last year in 2023. If I would have looked at my project page would have told me that the Viimein that I knit then was long sleeve, and I only used 3 balls. So I could have gotten away with only 3, but I didn't pay attention to that at the time. So anyway, when I went to the rack where the Remix Light was at Wool & Co., they only had 3 skeins. And as with the Knitting for Olive, they didn't have enough out, but if you let somebody know, they go back into their warehouse and they had sufficient quantity there. But at the time, I just was not, I wasn't willing to wait. And I knew that Elgin Knitworks carried Remix Light. That's where I bought it before. And so I just decided to not buy it this time. Now, the thing is, was a short sleeves sweater. And I am a proponent, I've talked about it here and everywhere I can, that I like to knit on sweaters ahead of the season. And so I thought, I don't want to knit that one right now. I have a summer sweater on the needles that I want to finish. That's going to be my last one. And so I don't need to be casting on a new one. Or do I? And since they didn't have enough yarn on the floor, I just decided to wait. You know, there's always the next time. I'm going to be back there in a month and whatever. So anyway, our next stop was Elgin Knitworks, which I love that shop. It is so cute. It's a local yarn shop. It is fun. It's so much fun to go into. So given that, we went into, and what they had posted earlier in the week was the Highland Coos kits. And all I was doing is going in to look at them. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to see them in person and just, get a feel for that. So before I could get to the Highland Coos, we shopped, we went around the store, looked at stuff, talked to Cindy a little bit, and we sidetracked over to the frogs. And I had seen that they had been knitting the frogs. Sarah had told me before that they had the frog kits. My whole thing is, Sarah told me that they had little tennis shoes for frogs. And I said to Cindy, I want to see the tennis shoes just in person. And so we headed over to the frogs, and she showed them to me. And they're in an accessory kit. And they're in a right color. Okay. So I'm buying this accessory kit, whether I'm doing frogs at all. And while we're there, she says, oh yeah, and they also have these little chairs, folding chairs for your frog. Now, I've seen a lot of people doing these frogs, and I'm like, I am not knitting those frogs. Yes, I have a pig on the needles for my granddaughter. And so, that is my thing. So here's an accessory kit. So I'm buying the accessory kit, right? There you go. So what are you going to put the accessory kits on? Wait for it. Yeah, I bought a froggy kit. Makes 2 frogs. Now, I'm going just to say it here. I'm not casting these on right away because I have the pig to do. These are going to be for me. These are going to be fun. These are going to be later. And I'm envisioning some more shelves up in what I'm calling the Zoom room right now, but the place that I spend a lot of time in. And I have some knitting related things, some knitting statues and stuffies and things like that I've collected and people have given me. And they're all in our spare room. Now, the spare room, originally, when Bob was alive, the room that I am in, he was upstairs, and that was his TV room, his computer room, and one thing and the other. And this was slowly becoming really the room that we were going to put extra people in when the grandkids came. It has a little table and chairs in there. I worked from there during COVID. And it was going to be like my knitting room downstairs that I could go in and maybe get a TV and sit in there, because we had much different TV watching things and very rarely watch TV together. So anyway, he was up there and I was here, and then so now there's a futon in there. Sometimes I podcast with the girls in there, with Kendra or Debbie, and really it's the futon pulls out for grandkids when they come to sleep. And then again, it's the playroom. It's kind of like the catch-all right now for meeting, for the makers meetup stuff on a table. So I'm not spending any time in there unless the grandkids are there. So my real main space is I've taken over Bob's room upstairs. It had all my Snoopies in there. It has my TV, and that's where I knit most of the time during the summer, because I can have my windows open down here, and windows open up there, and I'm kind of contained, and all my stuff is kind of up there. So I spend a lot of time up there, and in the wintertime I spend a lot of time up there because I can turn on a little space heater and shut the door and get it really post-toasty in there. So anyway, I have a couple of walls that I think that I'm going to put. It also houses all of my Snoopy figurines too, and stuff. So I have one or two wall that still could use some shelves up there. And so I'm thinking I'm going to take all of my knitting related figurines and things at some point in time and bring those up there. And long story short, Froggies will be up there, and it will become, you know, the Zoom Snoopy knitting room, right? So anyway, I'm going to make some frogs. I'm not making them right away. They are not a priority, but I was there and I couldn't resist. So then finally, we make our way over to the Highland Coos, and they are freaking adorable. If you've not seen them, you want to go on to the Elgin Knitworks Instagram page and check them out, because they're cute. They're so cute. There's clothing and there's all kinds of fun things. And so I now have a kit. And a pocket bunny that goes with it. And the fun thing is, I have bunches of patterns from them as well. And so there's going to be Highland Coos in my future. And they are freaking adorable. So again, check the Elgin Knitworks Instagram page out. They're just adorable. Can I say again? Not happening right now. It may not be till winter, but I got some fun coming down the pike, and that's what I'm totally looking forward to. I'm so excited. So while at Elgin Knitworks, where I originally bought my Remix Light 2 years ago and made the sweater, and just, and just a reminder, this is Viimein by Isabel Kramer. I made the long sleeve version last year, and this year I'm going to make the short sleeve version. I'm saying it again here. This is going to be the last summer sweater. After this one's done, and my other one, I am done with summer sweaters, and I'm moving on to transitional/winter. But anyway, so that one's on the needles, and Elgin Knitworks had plenty of the bubble gum in Remix Light, so I purchased that from them. I have cast it on. This has been the last 2 days my porch knitting project. This is a super fun knit. The thing that I love about this is that once you're done with the lace, which is super simple lace, it's not charted, it's via rows, but anyway, once you're done with that, it's just a clear knit. And so this will be, again, something that I can knit on. I loved wearing this, for sure, my other one. What I found, though, when I tried on my other one, and I'm going to give you some information here on it, my long sleeve version, when I tried it on, I made the M1 pattern from the medium pattern, and I loved it, and I like wearing it, but the thing is, it's really, I think it's loose here. And what I'm finding when I also look at it, and I had it on yesterday, it's a little bit loose in the body. Now some of that could be from wearing and just the nature of the yarn. So I've decided on this one, I went down a needle size to a size 4 needle, and I went to the small, at least around the neck. And I think then I will do some modifications down the road, you know, to adapt as I do with the arms and things like that. So right now, it's just a smaller neck, and I think it will grow, because this is it. It's a rolled hem at the top, right? It just rolls, so there's no ribbing or anything to hold it in. So I'm playing around with this. This is going to be the last summer sweater, and I think this will be fun to wear well into fall, and it will be a great sweater. I'm hoping to have it done in time for the meetup. So that was Elgin Knitworks. I am super, super happy about finding that yarn there and about our little knitting adventures. So let's talk about other things. Sweaters. Okay. I still have one on the needles. This is the one I was talking about. This one I knit. Again, I could knit it in public somewhat, but then you have to pay attention to the lace a little bit. I can do it while I'm watching TV at night, but I don't really take it anywhere. So it's James N. Watts. Look at my holes. This is the second to last summer sweater. I hope that it's done in time. I'm planning on it also being done in time for the meetup. I'm on the body, and I'm going to make it longer as I can, or as long as I can. I'm going to go, I'm on as long as I can go, and at some point in time I'm going to stop and finish out the sleeves, and then I'll go back to the body, because I want to make sure I have sufficient on the sleeves to come down. I'm planning on wearing it over a dress, a sleeveless dress that I've had. And whether it's pink or black or whatever, anyway, I'm planning on that. So I am knitting along on that. Now, what I want to talk to you about is a couple of things, you know, and probably in conjunction with our knitting adventures. You know, I'm patting myself on the back here, saying, you know, the last 3 sweaters that I knit or am knitting on have been from PYS, you know, and I've really been really good about that. Okay, so now I'm wiping that pad off, because I've now bought yarn for more sweaters, and it didn't start with the knitting adventures, but you know, there comes a time, and I know that there are others out like this. We don't have access to, you know, all the pattern, the designers, the yarns that the designers design a pattern for. And so this will be the last of the summer sweaters. But the other thing is, I found there for a minute, and maybe it's because I haven't bought any yarn in a while, and I've been so good about, you know, knitting on my PYS yarn, that all of a sudden I was in this buying mode. And it started with, I've got a couple of sock yarns that are coming, but I haven't gotten them yet. And I'll talk about those in a future episode. But it started with twice sheared sheep. I purchased these cable locks over a year ago, and I showed on the podcast that I used them for my hat shawl for the main center block, because they're very handy for shoving stitches. You know, when you have a large amount of stitches, maybe in stockinette, or in this case garter on the hat shawl, when you're shoving those, you're pushing them, and if you have any kind of, you know, arthritis, or after a while it hurts your hands. So I purchased some so that I could use them for those long lengths of knitting, that rather than having to do like that, and these are real handy, you just shove them on there, right? Well, then I saw that there was a a even better, for me, an even better use for them. And that's on my barber cords, because on my barber cords, I was always knotting them up, and sometimes they came unknotted or whatever. But then you can just slide these on there, slide them through it. It's just a single hole, and just slide them on there and just move them onto where you want to hold the sleeve stitches on. And so now I went out from Twice Sheared Cheap, and I had to buy some more to go with all of my barber cords to put them in all my accessory kits. So I bought several of those. And so that's where it started, was Twice Sheared Cheap. This is where I started buying these things. These are the mediums that go up to US 8s, in case you're thinking about using them just for your plain knitting. But anyway, so it started with that. And then, as it is, our Tuesday group down at Fiber Universe in Peoria reconnected with a friend of ours, Mickey, who from hospice. And we are so glad she joined us. She is a knitter, and she's able to come and knit with us a lot. And so it was so much fun, Mickey, to see you again. And I'm so glad you're a part of our group down there. But she was working on a hedgehog fiber poncho. And come to find out, in the course of all of this, her daughter-in-law is the owner, dyer, pattern maker, designer from Hedgehog Fibers. Now, a couple of years ago, I decided that I wanted to do Winter's Beach Cardi, and I bought the pattern. I have vacillated and vacillated about what to knit it out of it. I bought yarn, the Jody Long Alba, that's now in another sweater. I thought, well, it's going to be it. I didn't like it. And I think the reason goes back to that same thing. I had in my mind that I wanted to knit it out of the yarn that the designer designed it in. And as it happens to be, it's Hedgehog Fibers. And so, since I now know somebody who knows somebody, I decided to order it from Hedgehog Fibers, and it came. And this is perfect. This is going to be a perfect sweater cardigan for my style. It goes with blue jeans, and blue jeans is the thing that I wear most of. I'm getting better at some of the dresses, but blue jeans capris, blue jean shorts. I'm a blue jean person, and now that I've retired, because I can. And so I have gotten enough of the Tweety for my cardigan. Is that not super cool? It's called Moonlight, and it's just what I was looking for. Now again, not a sweater that I'm going to cast on right away, but I am looking towards doing a swatch in it and definitely making it soon. But I am so excited about that one. So that was one of the purchases that I had. And then while I'm at it, Ravelry used to be the place that I would go down the rabbit hole and find patterns and yarns and places and things. And for me, Instagram has been that now. And so wasn't too long, a week later after that sweet Skein o' mine did a posting on Instagram. I've never knit with her yarn. I follow her. I watch her vlogs, and it was in the right colorway, and I'm like, I'm buying a sweater's quantity of that. I have no idea what this is going to be, what sweater this is going to be. I just know that this was that other thing, that colorway that caught me. And so here we go. This is Sassy Zebra sock yarn. It is a merino nylon. This is in chilled. And this is going to be a sweater of some sort. Could be another Burmy Basic. I've got another thought process for Burmy Basic as well. That could be, Burmese Basic could be the sweater that I knit all the time and that you all get sick of seeing. But I think Burmese Basic is so cool that you can change it up and all the different stitch gauges. So I see more of these in my future. The thing that I like also about Burmese Basic too, it goes back to my aesthetic, right? That come fall and winter, yeah, I go out and do knitting and that, but if it's cold, I spend a lot of time just inside, watching podcasts and things like that. And I am also a proponent of pulling your sweaters out, knitters, and wearing them just for you. Yesterday I wore my Friendship Road all day long, and I forgot how much I like wearing that sweater and how much fun it just brings to me all by myself to wear my knits around the house if I'm not cleaning or cooking. So if that may be something that's coming down the road. I don't know yet. We will see. But anyway, so that was kind of the thought process. All of a sudden I'm buying yarn all over the place, but that's fine. And I'm still using my PYS. So not to, don't beat yourself up with it. Okay. Just saying. And I'm certainly not beating myself up anyway. So next up, not to pass up my local yarn shop, but Irene got in last week a new supply of Summer Lee's The Sock Project book, and I want to knit some more socks this winter. I haven't knit a whole lot of them, and I recently, since I stopped doing for my friend Norma, she'd always get a Hanukkah one and a birthday sock. And since she's passed, I've not had to knit as many. I've got some in my wardrobe, but I wanted to, I'm knitting on one right now, the Shorty Sock by Summer Lee, which is a free pattern that I talked about last episode. And so I wanted to delve into her book and maybe, in the new year, do that as well. Maybe, and call it a fiscal year, right? And the new fiscal year of knitting. That's the other thing about knitting camp. It was always, Linda and I would always say, after coming home from camp, that was like the start of our new year of knitting, because we would get so many ideas from Meg, from all of the campers, what they were wearing, what they would show and tell with. So, July is kind of like the new fiscal, the new knitting year. Still is, right, Linda? Still is for us. And though we're not going to knitting camp, this may be a new, the new year project to delve into other patterned socks, to go other direction than I've been doing than the simple vanilla sock. So purchase that from my latest, from my local yarn shop. Okay. Now, last of all, let's talk about what I'm wearing. Finally finished. Quick knit. Now, this is called Viimein. It's called Viimein. It is number 41 by Vera Jusela from 52 Weeks of Easy Knits. This is on the cover and also on page 216 of the book. I've talked about this before. Fun project. Used a lot of my brights. That was my whole intention. I've been saving the brights for this particular sweater. I can tell you I started it back in March, but in March, I just was like to here. So the knitting of this and the entire rest of the knitting of it, it was like, 3 weeks, 4 weeks tops, because it was so much fun to watch this all evolve. I just super stoked about it. There will be pictures on my project page and also on Instagram this week. I I just loved it. I was doing all brights. That was my intention. I still have a lot of these left. I have a tub that was going into the brights, and I did try, as you can see, to do my best to replicate the stripes so that when mine was like this. Now I could have, on this particular one, I could have went, yes, a little longer, I think, but I was worried about running out of the main fabric on it, which was Legacy Fiber Arts Vanilla Bean. And so I was kind of worried about it, adding that, because the way you knit this, you knit them together. So I was really worried about not having enough of the yarn. The specifics on this, just to give you some heads up, I knit the size 2, which finished measurements 42 1/4-ish. I cast on originally with a size 6 needles for the rib, and then I switched to a size 7 during the body. And the way it's knit, you join the fronts and back. And as I joined the fronts and back, I went to a size 8 needle because I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of length in it. I eliminated, it has decreases through the body. I eliminated them, did not put the decreases there. And I just maintained the pattern for 22 inches. And then I switched to size 7 for the rib at the bottom. For the sleeves, I used a size 8 needle, and I did as I always did. And I will show this in future episodes, because I want to do that episode of how I make my mods. But underneath the arm here, there was sufficient gap that I actually picked up extra stitches around there. And I don't have that in my notes, but I instead of whatever the pattern was, I had a total of 66 stitches on there. At about the peach here, when I ended that, I started doing decreases for the arm, and did it every third round. And I went down to a 48, and so it's a little bit looser, which is fine. I love that. 48 stitches in the end. And then I ribbed. And I bound it off with a size, and I bound this off with the size 7 needle. I didn't want to, I usually go down a couple sizes, and I liked the looseness of it, so I just left that way. And when I was done, the final yardage was, I used 935 yards, or 381 grams of the vanilla bean. And I started out with about 1,000, so that's why I was a little leery of going too much longer. I could have went just maybe a couple of stripes longer. I'm not even sure that I could have done that. So that's why the length is a little bit shorter than I normally would do. And then I blocked it. So anyway, that is the information on the Viimein. I love this sweater. It was so much fun. It used PYS from long ago during COVID. It had originally was going to be something else, and then I segued into something else, so I didn't do that. But I just love it. It's going to be one of those sweaters that I'm going to wear this fall, this winter. It's a pick-me-up. It's brights, all brights, and it was just what I was wanting. So. And again, 52 weeks of easy knits. Again, you're going to get tired of me talking about that over and over, but I do like several things out of that. So, and it's been a whole lot of fun for sure. Let's see what else is on the notes. I have nothing else down below. I want to say this. Today is July 1st, Monday, right? A new year and new week, new month. And we have a winner for the Mistletoe second quarter. That is in the PJKnits Ravelry Group. We have a little thread where you're posting your finished socks to give me some inspiration. And you are all spurring me on. But the winner is Patsy, who is Sparky 136. She's post 198, and she did a helical knitted socks. So cool. They're so cool. So Patsy, reach out to me on Ravelry. Send me a message there on Ravelry. We have PJ Knits group. I am PJ Knits 1 is where you can find my projects, or DM me. But Patsy, send me out a DM on Ravelry and let me know what sock pattern you'd like me to gift you. And so I will send you that way as well. Now, that's it for real knitting. Thank you so much. I have next episodes kind of sort of planned out already. Next one is going to be Christmas in July, and then I want to do a scrappy thing, and I want to do a mods thing, and I want to lead us into Makers Meetup and all kinds of things. And if you can hear the background, somebody's getting ready to cut their grass. So, it's kind of time for me to say goodbye. Now, before I say goodbye, if you have stuck with me this long, comment below, please. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. And if you are interested in winning a sandy bag, I am going to choose one. Could you tell me what your favorite color is down below, what you like, and tell me if you always gravitate towards that in the knitting world, or if it's because of whatever. So if you want to win a sandy bag of my choosing, comment below. Tell us your color you love to knit. Tell us if this goes with your wardrobe or just why you choose that color. And do you choose that color over and over? I would love to know, because as you can see, I'm going blue, but turquoise, teal, Caribbean blue, it's my aesthetic. It's the one I love the most of, and if I had my druthers, that's what I would knit with all the time. So anyway, thank you again. I am PJ Knits on Instagram. That's where I spend a lot of time and go down the rabbit hole. So thank you again. Enough. As the gals up in Canada would say, it's like the Canadian goodbye here, but I am totally saying goodbye now. Bye. See you next time. Bye.